G'day guys and welcome back to your English Aussie. Today I'm going to run through all the stats for the best defenders, midfielders and forwards by each of the price points, including all of the DEFCON data pulled directly from the FPL website API. So strap on your boots and let's dive straight into the video. Starting with the less than 4.5 million defenders, the cheap defenders here in FPL. And right at the top of the list, we have Mukiele and Alderete of Sunderland. At the moment, Sunderland is sort of playing a 5-4-1/3-4-3 system, which has Mukiele, Alderete and Ballard in that back three. Obviously, Alderete has missed out the last couple of games for Sunderland, but I think when he comes back into the team, he is my favourite of the cheaper Sunderland defenders, given that he's a bit more of a set-piece threat than Mukiele. Mukiele, however, does have those mammoth long throws into the box. However, when you tend to see goals scored from the long throws, it's normally a flick on from the long throw and then a finish. There's not normally like a direct header goal from these long throws these days. So for me, I do slightly prefer Alderete to Mukiele, but actually my favourite for Sunderland would be Dan Ballard, and I will come on to that in the next section. However, Sunderland fixtures really difficult over the next 5 game weeks, so I would be looking mostly to be picking up those defensive contributions, and the odd time they do manage to keep a clean sheet, I will be expecting a big return for these defenders. Other options at this price point are, of course, Joe Rodon of Leeds. He has been really good for Leeds so far. 2 goals, although I think he scored only 4 in his career for Leeds. Something along those lines. Still a threat off those set pieces for Leeds, playing every week. Jacob Bijol of Leeds is starting to find his way into the team to partner Rodon as well. I think they're going to form a formidable partnership together in that centre-back role, and hopefully that will bring some more clean sheets to Leeds. John Paul Van Heck of Brighton, another one to just keep an eye on here. Slowly starting to pick up those defensive contributions. Brighton also have quite a nice fixture run over the next 5 to 6 game weeks, where I think Van Heck might be a really nice option. And finally, just a talk on Josh Achimpong. Obviously lost his place this week. Fofana and Chalobah preferred in the back four for Chelsea. I do think that he will struggle to regain that place in the side. And although he is 3.9 million, I wouldn't be looking to bring him into the team in the future. Moving on to the mid-price defenders, and obviously at the top of the list here, we still have Gueye of Crystal Palace. He is someone for Crystal Palace that does move forwards with the ball. He is the one defender that really steps out of that back 5 for Crystal Palace with the ball. He gets himself into those sort of half spaces around the edge of the box, putting those crosses in towards the back post, towards the likes of Munoz and Mateta, and is definitely potential to be picking up those assists. Not so good for defensive contributions, although has managed to pick up on 5 out of 10 appearances so far this season, despite only averaging 8.5 defensive contributions per 90. Over the last few game weeks, he has started to tick up a little bit more, but he has been very close to that 10 mark. Next up is Mickey van der Ven of Tottenham, or shall we call him Lionel Messi / Son Heung-min. He recreated the Son Heung-min Burnley goal this week for Tottenham in the Champions League, picking up the ball on the edge of his own box, running past the entire opposition team and slotting it home. It was an absolutely sensational goal. He is someone that does have an absolute serious motor on him, runs with a lot of pace. And still at 4.8 million, I can't blame you if you're hanging on to him or if you have looked to go into him on your team. He's a set-piece threat for Spurs. He can obviously finish like that. And also Spurs have been kept 4 clean sheets so far this season. Although the fixtures are not fantastic over the next 5, I'd say they're around the middle of the bunch defensively. They do have Manchester United, Fulham and Brentford, and a struggling Newcastle offence at the moment to go alongside with Arsenal in the next 5 game weeks. So definitely don't mind Mickey van der Ven as an option. Next up on this list, Senesi of Bournemouth. Obviously, we've spoken about him a lot this season. Great for defensive contributions per 90. If Bournemouth do keep clean sheets, he is going to pick up quite a few points. Good for baseline bonus, good for bonus points, and someone that is a really nice sort of set and forget in your team at 5 million. In the Crystal Palace defender section, you sort of have Lacroix versus Richards. Richards at 4.5 million versus Lacroix at 5 million. Lacroix, again, starting to now become the better option ahead of Richards, who looked like he was a little bit better at the beginning of the season. I think these two are really close together, and I think it really just depends on if you need the extra 0.5 million or not, whether you'd go for Lacroix or Richards. For me, I think they're both pretty close to each other, and either would be a nice pick for the Crystal Palace defence. On to the Chelsea defence now, and they've got a really nice run of fixtures over the next 5. Wolves and Burnley up in the next 2, and we've got Timothy Chalobah here and also Reece James as both potential options. Now, Chalobah is someone who has the potential to pick up the DEFCON, but also a real threat off the set pieces. And I know I'm speaking a lot about set pieces here, and I will continue to do that as we move into the midfielder section. But if you have seen how the Premier League has changed this year, a lot more goals have been being scored from set pieces, a lot less goals have been being scored from open play, and that really is a bit of an adaptation this year, and one of the reasons why you can see that defenders are really outscoring and being such great FPL options this season. And what I would recommend for anybody at the moment, either on a wildcard or looking to make transfers, is pick the 5 best defenders in the game and then work around from there. I think these sort of high-priced midfielders at the moment haven't been able to be returning really high-scoring game weeks. Big returns haven't been coming for them, whereas these defenders have been able to do this a little bit more consistently. For example, a Gabriel of Arsenal. We'll go on to him in the next section, but these are the sort of defenders that you want to be looking to get into your team. So Timothy Chalobah as a set-piece threat. Chelsea 4 clean sheets so far this season. Definitely someone that you can look at. Reece James, on the other hand, not great for DEFCON, however, on a lot of set pieces for Chelsea. He's taking the free kicks, he's taking the corners. 1 goal, 3 assists so far, also taking those direct free kicks. Chelsea, obviously, great fixture run. Reece James, obviously, getting a consistent run in the team now. He has played 90 minutes 6 games in a row for Chelsea over the last 6 games in the Premier League, and I think he could be a really nice option that's gone under the radar going forwards. Down the bottom here, we do have Dan Ballard of Sunderland. As I mentioned on the previous slide, I do think Ballard is the best Sunderland option, although he is 4.6 million. He is their major threat from set pieces. Also good for defensive contributions. Numbers are slightly inflated by the fact that he's only played 5 games and has had a couple of really big performances. However, he is still good for those DEFCON points. And Anderson of Fulham, back fit and healthy for Fulham. Fulham with quite a nice couple of fixtures coming up over the next few weeks. And he is, of course, excellent for defensive contributions as well, picking them up regularly for Fulham. Moving on now to the expensive defenders, and we all know who is going to be right at the top of this list. A quick reminder for you guys, please like and subscribe down below to the channel if you have enjoyed this so far and you do enjoy this sort of data and analysis that I'm giving you. It really does help my channel. So, right at the top of this list here, Gabriel of Arsenal, baseline BPS of 15.9. Defensive contributions, 9.5, growing here. Bonus, he's picked up 13 bonus so far this season. 1 goal, 2 assists, 80 points he's on. I think that's the 3rd highest scoring player in the game. Magnificent pick so far for Arsenal. They've kept 7 clean sheets so far this season out of 10 games. And I expect them to continue this good run over the next 5 or 6 game weeks. Gabriel is a must-have for me in any team. Jurrien Timber next on the list again. I think another good option for Arsenal. Good for clean sheets. Very good going forwards. Creates a nice little triangle on that right-hand side with Saka and Arsenal's other 10. And I think gets himself into some really nice positions where he does have the potential to pick up attacking returns as well. Calafiori, not so much for me positionally. Also, how much he gets involved in the game. Not as good for baseline bonus, which does mean he doesn't get the bonus points as much as a Gabriel or Timber. So that's why he falls a little bit behind in terms of overall points. So I do prefer a Gabriel or a Jurian Timber. Even though they are at the slightly higher price points, I would definitely fork out the money for them. Daniel Munoz of Crystal Palace, I think for me, is probably one of the other must-haves in the game at the moment. Can pick up DEFCON on the odd occasion. Unbelievable going forwards. Crystal Palace with 4 clean sheets so far. He's got 1 goal, 3 assists, and hasn't really even kicked off so far this season. If he has a couple of really nice game weeks, he could be picking up 15, 20, maybe even 23 pointers for Crystal Palace. And I expect him to finish in the top 3, possibly even the top 2 defenders this season when we come around to the end of the season. Next up, and some other guys to discuss, Cucurella of Chelsea with their nice fixtures. I think he's someone that definitely can be looked at from an offensive standpoint, has the ability to get a big haul and a return if Chelsea do manage to keep a clean sheet. Virgil van Dijk and Konate, again, very nice for defensive contributions. Liverpool go on a fantastic fixture run from game week 12. After that Man City game, they definitely would be people that I would be looking to bring into the team. I think Liverpool are at some point going to sort out themselves defensively, and I think Virgil van Dijk, as you can see here, is the 7th highest scoring expensive defender, and he has scored 0 goals and 0 assists. So even if he picks up 1 or 2 of those, I expect him to be ending up with a 10 plus points in that game, and he's going to be shooting up this list when he does return. So definitely keep an eye on him from that game week 12 onwards. Tarkowski of Everton on this list to talk about just because of his good defensive contributions. However, to be honest, he is somebody that I would not look to be going for at the moment. I think there are a lot of other nicer options from teams that are keeping clean sheets so far this season that I would be looking to go for, and I would definitely be looking to spend my money on the highest scoring defenders and the best defenders so far this season, as they seem to be the ones that are most reliable for points this season, whereas the midfielders, a little bit of luck involved, a little bit of picking the right fixtures, picking the right players. We've got to adapt our thinking this season to look at who the players are scoring the points and why those players are scoring the points. Set pieces being one of the big things there this season. Managers have really tried to change things up this season, and it's really interesting to see how the different management styles have affected the Premier League this season. Talking about different manager styles, let me take a quick break to talk to you about a new football management game that is out there. If you're interested in football management or you think you would be a good manager, check this out. This is Footium, a new online football management game where you actually own your own players, club, and manage the team, competing in daily matches against other managers. You start by signing up on the Footium website with an email address. Once you're in, you can purchase your own club, complete with a badge, a stadium, and a squad of players. You can choose to play for free as a caretaker manager while you understand the game, or buy your own club with a card. Every player has stats that matters, things like stamina, leadership, and which-footedness they are. These aren't just numbers, they affect how your tactics play out on the pitch. You set your formation, pick your lineups, and compete against other managers in daily matches. Win games, climb the divisions, win rewards, and build your football management legacy. And finally, because players are digital assets, that means you can trade them on the marketplace. So you can scout bargains, sell talent, and build a squad that meets your style. So if you're into football management, tactics, squad building, or just want to try something new, check out Footium. I'll leave a link below in the description so you can start managing your own club. Now let's get straight back into the video. Moving on to the midfielders, we have the 4.5 to 5.4 million midfielders. Not a lot to talk about in this section. I do think Granit Xhaka is the pick of the bunch. I'm still highlighting here Cullen of Burnley, Adams of Bournemouth, someone that we definitely should be keeping an eye on. 1 goal, 1 assist so far from the 10 starts. His defensive contributions data is starting to pick up. And finally, Mats Wiefer of Brighton. He has been playing at right back quite a lot for Brighton so far this season. That may be why his defensive contribution numbers are a little bit higher here, as he has been around different areas of the pitch for Brighton. Still, my favourite on this list has got to be Granit Xhaka. Good for DEFCON, 1 goal, 3 assists, and a key integral part of that Sunderland side. Difficult fixtures coming up, but he might be nice as someone who is a 5th rotation option on that bench. Into the mid-price midfielders then, 5.5 to 7.4 million. Lots of players to talk about. Declan Rice right at the top of this list, 63 points, 2 goals, 4 assists. Another goal this week for Arsenal. Not superb for defensive contributions. I think he's only picked it up 2 times this season. However, his threat is the set piece taker for Arsenal. They are so strong off set pieces, so strong off corners. Declan Rice is so brilliant with that delivery. He has also been allowed to play a little bit higher in that Arsenal team. You've seen Calafiori inverting into that defensive midfield area, a tactic often employed by Pep Guardiola at Manchester City back in the day with Rico Lewis, and more recently as well. You can see that allows Declan Rice to get forwards, get into the box and get on the end of those chances, as we saw by his goal and his header last week for Arsenal in the league. He is somebody that I would definitely be considering at that 6.8 million. The midfielders with those big price points haven't really been returning those high scores so far this season. And a Declan Rice, a Caicedo, and even an Ndiaye here all look like brilliant options to me around that 6 to 7 million price point. I think Caicedo's been fantastic for those defensive contributions, great for bonuses, has managed to also pick up 3 goals, got himself another assist last week. I think he's someone, again, in there that's really nice for just ticking over those numbers, and Chelsea's fixtures are really nice going forwards. Iliman Ndiaye for Everton, really great data, expected goal involvements of 0.52, actually picks up defensive contributions every now and again as well. Decent baseline BPS, although hasn't managed to pick up the bonus so many times this season. However, has scored 4 goals and 1 assist so far for Everton. I think he's a really nice pick as well, and definitely someone I would look to have in my team if I was on a wild card, and someone that I am looking to work away how to bring in to my own team over the next few weeks. Ryan Gravenberch of Liverpool, I think this one's really interesting. Not actually great for defensive contributions over the course of the season. However, has managed to pick up 3 goals and 2 assists. I think that is something that might continue going forwards in the season for Liverpool. They're going to have to find ways of breaking down these low blocks. They haven't been fantastic at it so far this season. And with the run of fixtures they have from game weeks 12 onwards, I think Gravenberch might actually be quite integral at carrying that ball forwards and trying to play those passes and split open the defence for Liverpool. And then he is going to be someone who's going to be taking those shots from the edge of the box and looking to grab a goal for Liverpool and find other ways to break down these low blocks. He could be someone that is a really interesting pick at 5.6 million in a Liverpool team if they do start to hit form over that nice fixture run. Minte of Brighton, someone for me who I just think is on the ball quite a lot for them. Expected goal involvements of 0.38 is not fantastic, but it is one of the best in this range of midfielders. 1 goal, 5 assists so far this season. His shooting for me is something that also needs a little bit of work on. However, I think with the Brighton fixture run, he's definitely someone that can be considered, especially at this low price point. Enzo Fernandez for Chelsea as well. Obviously, Chelsea with some nice fixtures. Enzo on penalties for them. As long as Palmer's out, he's still a nice pick, in my opinion. SUBCRIBE of Liverpool, again, someone that's probably a little bit underlooked, often has played in that right-back role, and that is why his defensive contributions per 90 are a little bit inflated. However, does put in a lot of work in that Liverpool midfield, moved now more centrally with Connor Bradley looking like he's bedded down that right-back role for us. And SUBCRIBE is somebody who can score goals on direct free kicks for Liverpool, and definitely someone to just keep an eye on as we go forwards to see if he can shoot up that leaderboard. Casemiro of Manchester United, obviously a bit of a minute's risk in that Man United midfield. They do rotate around there a little bit. However, has started 8 out of the 10 games for Manchester United so far this season. Tends to not play the full 90 minutes, which is why I think for defensive contributions per 90, he sometimes struggles to pick up the full 12 required for the midfielders. Has managed, however, 3 goals and 2 assists this season. However, I don't expect this to continue, and given he's so far down the list of points here with already 3 goals and 2 assists, someone I would probably still be avoiding this season. Moving on now to the expensive midfielders, and just a reminder to please like the video, subscribe down below to the channel if you haven't already, and if you've been enjoying this video so far. I know a lot of you that are watching might not be subscribed. Please just check to see if you are subscribed. It really does help this channel, and I would appreciate it greatly. Antoine Semenyo, top of the list. I'd still hold on to him. I know he's blanked in the last couple of games. Bournemouth have a nice fixture run over the next 5 game weeks. He's someone to hold on to. Brian Mbeumo, obviously a couple of goals for Man United. Man United, one of those teams that you just don't know what's going to turn up on any given game week. I think between him and Bruno Fernandes, definitely a little bit of a gamble, but someone that you can gamble on if you are looking for one of these higher price midfielders. Cody Gakpo for me is still the best Liverpool option in there with 3 goals and 2 assists. Mo Salah, his price point is just far too high for anyone to consider, even for that fixture run between 12 and 16. He also will be going off to AFCON after game week 16, so probably for me, definitely someone to leave out of the team. Eze versus Saka for Arsenal, one to consider for sure. Saka obviously still getting a lot of the ball for Arsenal. Had a couple of chances to score last week and didn't manage to convert them. However, was in some great positions. Could have had 2 goals from Arsenal, and this list could be looking a whole lot different. For me, Saka is still the best option of those two players. And also on penalties for Arsenal. Moving on to the forward line, we do have the 4.5 and above forwards. Well, 4.2 million now with a Mark Gui. Kruppi Jr., top of the bunch, looking to keep that starting role for Bournemouth. Evan Nilsson did come back and played 29 minutes off the bench last week for Bournemouth. That might be a thing. That might be an omen of things to come and him coming back into that starting lineup. The question really is whether you want to save 0.4 million to go down to Mark Guiu. I reckon him and Kruppi will play similar minutes going forwards once Liam Delap is back as well. Not much more, in my opinion, on this cheap price forwards. So we will move on to the mid-price forward. Right here, Danny Welbeck is the pick of the bunch for me, in fantastic form. Can he make his way into the England squad? I think he really has a great chance with the performances he's been putting in for Brighton. He's Brighton's main man up front. He's going to play quite a lot of minutes for them. Definitely someone that I would consider bringing into the team. I'm looking at him as a potential replacement for WILDCARD in the future if Newcastle start to shift things around in their offense. We'll talk about WILDCARD on the next page. Thiago, again, another nice, cheap mid-price option for Brentford. On penalties for them, has been finding form and definitely a nice option. Strand Larsen, will Wolves get a new manager bounce? Vitor Pereira has been sacked. Can Strand Larsen can out and find his shooting boots? Most likely on penalties for Wolves as well. If they can turn things around, he could be a nice pick, but he's a wait and see for me at the moment. Igor Jesus at Nottingham Forest with Chris Wood's injury. He's going to lead the line for Nottingham Forest. I think he's a really fantastic player, and if Nottingham Forest can find some stuff going forwards, I think he could be trouble for a lot of defences. Quite a decent fixture run, actually, for Nottingham Forest over the next 5 weeks, especially from an attacking perspective. Igor Jesus, definitely someone to keep an eye on, and maybe even someone to take a punt on. Liam Delap for Chelsea, once he comes back into that side, potentially to play up top with João Pedro just in behind him. Could be someone to keep an eye on, but wait and see until he gets those starting minutes for me before bringing him into the team. Finally, on to the expensive forwards. One more time, please smash that like button, subscribe down below, check if you are subscribed to this channel. I know a few of you haven't realised that you're not subscribed, and I would really appreciate if you could just click that button. It does massively help the channel. Erling Haaland, top of the list, must have in any team for me. He's got to be one of your 3 forwards. Outside of that, John Philippe Mateta, He's just getting better. In great form for Crystal Palace. Great fixture run. Definitely someone that I would love to have in my side. Ekitike of Liverpool, someone to keep an eye on as well. I think he's looked really good in that Liverpool front line. I think he's looked far the better of himself and Isak, who's currently out at the moment. And if Liverpool can find their shooting form from game week 12 onwards, someone I'd be looking to get in after that Manchester City game. Walter Marder, one to discuss for me. Obviously got substituted at 45 minutes for Newcastle. They really wanted someone that could run in behind and stretch the defence. Because he likes to come short and show to feet, it does narrow the pitch somewhat, and those Newcastle wingers were not able to stretch it up enough in behind. So he is someone that I am looking at. I still think he's a nice option, but those minutes do now concern me, having been substituted at half-time. When does Johan Wissa become available? How long will he be available before he goes off to AFCON? We'll have to wait and see. I do expect Walter Marder to keep that starting role over Asula. However, just something to watch as Newcastle look to score more goals and shift their tactics up front to enable them to do that. That's all from me. This has been your English Aussie. Thank you so much for watching so far. Please like the video, subscribe down below if you have enjoyed, and I will catch you all for the live stream later this week. Thanks, guys. Have a great game week.